Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going in alphabetical order from Abrams to Yamato. I'll be covering their lore and personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design. Please do keep in mind that everything I talk about is subject to change at a later date, as that is just the nature with a game like Deadlock that is still actively in development. And if you wish to play Deadlock for yourself, assuming you don't already have access for a previous video of mine, I'll throw my Steam name up on screen, and all you need to do is subscribe, send me a friend request, and I'll send you a code. That's a very bad plug, I know, but that's besides the point. And if you please do keep in mind that codes can take 1 to 2 days to come through, maybe even longer. It's completely random, and all I ask is that you be patient. But with all of that said, our object of obsession for today is the woman wronged by the acts of the Salem witch trials, that being none other than Vindicta. Now, as I always do in every single one of these videos, I would like to start by talking about her lore, as well as discussing some tidbits about her personality, and as I do in every single one of these videos thus far, I would like to start by reading off her in-game background. A victim of John Hawthorne during the Salem witch trials, Vindicta got a second chance of life when her spirit was brought back to the mortal plane during the first Maelstrom, the event that introduced the supernatural to the public at large. Waging a one-ghost war against the Friends of Humanity, a neo-inquisition formed by Hawthorne's descendants, Vindicta looks to keep the supernatural safe from Hawthorne's ilk, and she isn't afraid to stack as many bodies as needed to do it. Now, as I'm sure you're very much aware off of just what I read, Vindicta has a lot of ties to real-world events, things that actually did happen in history, the main one obviously being the Salem witch trials, which were a series of hearings and prosecutions of people accused of witchcraft in colonial Massachusetts between February 1692 and May of 1693. More than 200 people were accused, 30 people were found guilty, 19 of whom were executed by hanging, 14 women, 5 men, one other man, Gilles Corey, died under torture after refusing to enter a plea, and at least 5 people died in disease-ridden jails without trial. Now, that is literally the beginning lines of the Wikipedia article, and if anyone judges me for using Wikipedia, I've never really understood that criticism, because for the most part, I've never had Wikipedia actually be wrong. And yes, I did use it in a lot of my schoolwork. Sorry, any of my teachers that have actually managed to find me on this website. But either way, Vindicta says she was a child unjustly condemned during said Salem witch trials, which relates to the real ones, as many of the girls in the trials were quite young, ranging from the ages of 9 to 20. John Hawthorne, who is mentioned in her background that I just read, was a real dude. He was an actual real person, and he was known in the Salem witch trials for questioning accusers and the accused in trial, often leaving the accused guilty. So he was one of the main proprietors in the Salem witch trials. He was like a judge of sorts of whether or not these women and men were witches or wizards, and well, usually they'd be dead, they'd be killed because of his determination, or his what would you call it, his like judgment. I'm looking for a different word, but I don't remember the word. This is a very interesting idea. I'm going to be completely real. I've never actually seen any game in existence use real world events to set the standard or basis of what a character's story is about. I literally cannot think of a single other instance outside of games that literally are trying to tell, history. I've never actually seen like a game like, I don't know, Overwatch doesn't do that. I've never seen Overwatch use any real world events or real world people in their like sort of stories. Like, it's kind of interesting. Like, you see like the warning at the beginning of a game where it's like, oh, all references to people dead or alive are completely fictional or coincidental. How do you get away with this? They literally just referenced John Hawthorne, like the real dude. He literally lived during this time. They actually referenced him by name. But I think that's really interesting, and I do think Vindicta is very much a tragic character of her circumstances. However, I'm going to be completely real with you. I completely support her in her goal. I don't care if she has to cut off 1 billion Hydra heads, and she doesn't care either. She will cut off every last head of that Hydra that is the Friends of Humanity until it literally kills her. And you know what? All the power to her, because the Friends of Humanity seem like a right bunch of knobs. I'm not joking. They are, per her own admission, a neo-political inquisitional group, or no, neo-inquisition political group. They literally, okay, every single minority character in this game, whether that be someone like Mo and Krill, who are like, you know, a mole man, and I don't even know what Krill is, or, like, a lot of characters really don't like the Friends of Humanity. And I'm going to be completely real with you. A lot of these characters are some of the best in the game, some of the nicest in the game. We know, per an interaction between Vindicta and Dynamo, that John Hawthorne's descendant, who is literally called the same thing, I think his name is literally John Hawthorne Jr., is going to speak at a Columbia University. And when talking about it, Dynamo specifically says, unfortunately. If you are in the bad books of Dynamo, I am going to automatically assume you are a bad person. I just automatically. And you know what? I don't think anyone, like, I'm sorry, the only other person who I would trust more on judgment of whether someone was good or bad is Viscus. Viscus, in all of his wisdom, is very stupid, and he doesn't really understand when someone is bad or not. But if he finds out that you are a bad person, I'm going to trust him 100%. I'm going to trust the goo man. I will trust him. I am in full support of Vindicta and her crusade, and she's not the only one crusading against the Friends of Humanity, as so is Grey Talon, because Grey Talon believes that he was, or they were, the group that killed his grandsons and his son. I would not be surprised if that was due to the fact that his son was married to an Ixian, because the Friends of Humanity seem to have a bit of a hatred for Ixians per se. In Deadlock there is a thing called the Ixian War, which is, we don't really know too much on it. From the sounds of it, it seems to be like two sides of groups in Ixia, which is, like, for those that don't know, another dimension that got opened up. It's where like Abrams is from, like the sort of devil-esque characters. Like Infernus is an Ixian, Abrams is an Ixian as well. It seems like there's some sort of like war going on, and the Friends of Humanity rally in New York to protest against the US government's aid to Ixia amid the Ixian War. So yeah, Infernus don't like him, and I'm going to be honest, if Infernus don't like him, I'm going to trust him on that one. A lot of the gooder, more moral characters do not like the Friends of Humanity, and you know what, I'm going to trust every last one of them. I don't like any of them. They don't sound like a great group at all. You know what, Vindicta, just go pow, I can't say it out loud, but you know what I'm implying. Just kapow, just shoot them. You just shoot, you know, to Vindicta, just clock their heads, clock their gags, please. But besides that, there's some other stuff about Vindicta that I find quite interesting, and most of it has to do with her conversations with other characters. Due to her history, of course, she is rather distrustful of our resident cowboy, oh, not cowboy, she's a sheriff, Holiday, and I'm going to play the interaction between the two of them now.
You look concerned.
Forgive me for not having much faith in servants of the law.
Law's come a long way since you died.
No, Sheriff, it really hasn't.
Yeah, Vindicta's completely right, by the way, and unfortunately for Vindicta, the servants of the law haven't come much further since, what is this, 1950s? So, well, maybe they come forward a little bit, but not by much. I find it very interesting that Vindicta is very distrustful of Holiday, and I like that she is very distrustful of Holiday, and I cannot blame her for being very distrustful of Holiday, because people in Holiday's position during her time, well, what did they do to help her before she was, you know, killed at probably like the age of 10 or 11 or something? Like, she's got more than enough right to be distrustful of Holiday, despite Holiday's attempts to say, oh, law's come a long way since you died. And for reference, Vindicta has apparently, according to her, been dead for 200 odd years. She has that in a conversation with Kelvin, which I'm going to play for you now.
How are you adjusting?
It's strange returning after being gone for a year.
Try 200.
Oh, by no means was I trying to draw comparisons. How long did it take you to make sense of the modern world?
A while. People always ask me about adapting to technology, but really the language was the hardest. For a while I felt lost. but I was able to find my way and my purpose.
A lust for murder isn't purpose, Vindicta.
That's not for you to say, Kelvin. You weren't there.
And again, there is another character trying to... There are a few characters that try to, like, dissuade Vindicta from her path of, like, vengeance. Hayes is another one. Hayes says, oh, what will you do once you cut off the first snake head and it turns into 3? I'm sorry, Vindicta's just going to cut off the others. She's just going to keep going. I'm not kidding. She will fight this Hydra until it is dead. And she has all the time in the world. And I mean that literally. She is literally a ghost. She has all the time in the world. So all of these other characters who kind of like judge her for her decision on, you know, seeking... I'm sorry. Do we know who she's seeking vengeance against? She's seeking vengeance against the people that conducted the Salem witch trials. And in the current day and age of Deadlock are literally going against like every single minority group there is. Like, they hate it. From what we know, they don't seem particularly fond of Ixians. If Infernus's reaction to Vindicta's acts are anything to go by, they aren't probably fond of mole men, judging from the fact that Mo and Krill celebrate what Vindicta is doing. Like, there is all of these, you know, minority characters that aren't in positions of power, are celebrating Vindicta's actions and like cheering her on, whereas people like Holiday and Kelvin, people who are rich and never had to deal... Well, okay, Holiday isn't rich, but she is a member of the law, so someone who is part of the law. Kelvin, someone who has a lot of fame and the such, don't try to dissuade her from this, but that's because they've never had to deal with anything like that. They've never had to deal with any sort of pushback or oppression because of who they are. Maybe Holiday probably did. I will give her that. She is a, you know, a woman and a sheriff in the 50s. So yeah, she probably has had to deal with oppression or sort of a pushback due to her, you know, sex. But man, Vindicta probably not to compare like trauma and stuff or compare situations, but Vindicta, I'm gonna be honest, has probably had it worse. Like a lot worse. But besides that, Vindicta says that she uses her given name. Puritans in the 17th century were known to give unusual names to their children as a way of honouring their religion. I am not fully educated on what that exactly means, but I'm sure someone probably understands that better than I do. And before we move on to talking about her gameplay and the such, I do want to mention further that Vindicta's interactions with Grey Talon, as due to their shared goal of taking out the Friends of Humanity, they kind of have created like a bond in some way, shape or form. Like, he and Vindicta have hunted the Friends of Humanity together and regard each other as friends. But I think Vindicta almost sees like Grey Talon as the father figure she never had. And to further prove that, or to prove that point, I'm going to play an interaction between the two of them now.
Wesley, I just wanted you to know that if I had a father like you, I don't think I would have died.
You deserved better. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I got to meet you.
I think that interaction's quite sweet. I'm going to be completely honest. I think the idea of Vindicta becoming not attached to Grey Talon, or seeing him as a father figure that she should have had or wanted, is quite sweet. I think that's a nice... I mean, admittedly, they are like joining up together to murder people, but I'm not gonna... no, they are killing people for a good cause. To our knowledge, the Friends of Humanity are like insufferable. But before I move on to gameplay, I would like to mention or give my credit to Vindicta's voice actor. For the longest time, I thought it was Jennifer English, who some of you may know as like Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate or Mael in Expedition 33, but it's not. I don't know why I thought it was her. I just kind of had this weird hunch, but no. It's a woman known as Eden Rigel. I think that's how you say her last name. She's been in a lot. I'm sure some of you have seen that pilot. Is it a TV series pilot? It's called The Knights of Guinevere. She is Guinevere. I think that's how you say that. I have no clue. She was in The Owl House. She's in Guilty Gear Strive as May. She is, funny enough, the voice of... who was it? The Handler in Monster Hunter World. Though for some weird reason, she is completely uncredited, which I think is... I mean, I know not everyone likes the Handler. I like the Handler in Monster Hunter World. I think she's quite silly. But yeah, it's kind of weird that she's uncredited. She's also the voice of Hifumi Togo in Persona 5 Royal, which, I mean, hey, if you voice someone in Persona 5 Royal, I say that's a pretty good job. Either way, I like her performance as Vindicta. She's able to be kind of weirdly ghostly in her, like, voice. I don't know what... Vindicta has, like, obviously, well, she is a ghost, so she has a weirdly ghostly voice, but the way she speaks is both simultaneously soft-spoken, but also carries, you know, the intent of murder. She, at a moment's notice, sounds like she could just suddenly just become incredibly serious and be like, I'm not gonna, like, she's got an interaction with Ivy where she's like, we're not going on a fun little playtime together, and it's like, oh whoa, okay, yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Vindicta. Yeah, understood. Like, it's weird how she can kind of switch from, say, the soft-spoken, ghostly nature that most ghosts usually have, like, through that interaction with Grey Talon, she was quite softly spoken, but then immediately can flick a switch and talk to people like the way she was talking to Holiday that I showed earlier, how she's quite, sort of serious and, what would you call it? I don't know. No, I'm not going to say, like, hateful, but vindictive? I don't know. Befitting of her name, but either way, with my credits or praise given to her voice acting, her lore, personality, etc., I would like to now move on to talking about her gameplay and abilities. Please do keep in mind for this section, I use OBS to record my audio and gameplay simultaneously, so I may sound a little bit different, but with that disclaimer ahead, I'm now going to talk about her gameplay and her abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Vindicta's gameplay. And as always, let's start with her weapon, which is incredibly important to discuss. That being Wallflower's Revenge. Now, as some of you may notice immediately, there is a little tiny icon next to the bullets per second. Here's a fun fact. Vindicta's fire rate scales with her spirit. I didn't really know that, actually, I'm going to be completely honest with you, but it does in fact scale with her spirit. Now, her weapon, in actual practice, is a fully automatic sniper rifle. Well, it's kind of weird. It's shaped like a sniper rifle, but it might as well just be like an assault rifle in actual practice. It only looks like a sniper rifle to actually create the illusion of being one for her fourth ability. But otherwise, it is like a just fully automatic rifle. It's got a relatively steady fire rate, and as I just showed, if I were to buy, say, Boundless Spirit, you can see the increase of fire rate just from a single spirit item. The shopkeeper has really put me off. I just hear him talking in my ear. Anyways, this is a very good weapon. Very, very, very good. And because of her nature as, you know, it does good damage, good headshot damage, has good range due to its nature as a quote-unquote sniper rifle. It's good in lane for killing minions, securing souls, etc. But due to its nature of, you know, having its fire rate scale with spirit, Vindicta can kind of build into both gun and spirit. Like, I personally prefer gun because I can't hit my sniper shots, as I'm sure you probably saw in my gameplay at the beginning, or my B-roll footage, as you would call it. So I personally prefer, you know, gun builds. But look, even this gun build includes improved spirit stuff, because not only does her fire rate scale with spirit, but there is an ability that I'll discuss in a moment or so, which does actually scale with spirit, but also benefits her gun simultaneously. Either way, this is a very good gun. It's, as I said, it's just a solid. It's a solid. I want to call it an assault rifle because it is an assault rifle, but it's not. It's a sniper rifle. It's just fully automatic, which, I mean, sure, whatever. But yeah, it does good damage. It's got good range, and I mean, as the resident sniper rifle character, I didn't mean to press that. Vindicta does want to play from a longer range, and due to this being a sniper rifle, every time I say that, by the way, I hope you know I'm doing air quotes, she does benefit from this thing having longer range. And another thing about her being longer range is that she only has 2 stamina. You can get caught out as Vindicta quite easily. She's a very squishy character, but that is due to her nature as being, you know, the resident sniper character who just sits at the back, peppers you with bullets, peppers you with her abilities, and then when you're on low health, suddenly you get pinged and you're dead. You just get exploded by the sniper rifle. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. The gun is good. This gun good. I'm giving you a thumbs up. The gun good. gun feel good to shoot, gun do good damage, gun do have good range. I'm pulling it a Dr. Mundo and describing things in single-digit words. Single-digit words. Am I okay? I have no idea what I meant by that. Anyways, before we get too confused on whatever the hell I'm saying, let's move on to our first ability, known as Stake. It has a 40-second cooldown, and you throw a stake that tethers enemies to the location where the stake lands. Enemy movement is restricted to the length of the tether. The tether lasts for 1.75 seconds, it does 55 damage and scales with spirit, and it has a 9 meter capture radius. The tether is also 9 meters at full length, and the move speed penalty is minus 40%. This ability is basically used to just keep enemies in place. So when I press 1, you'll see like a little stake floating around in Vindicta's hand, and you'll see the area of effect. And if I throw it, this enemy gets hit by it, slowed, and he cannot like go beyond the max range. He'll just get stuck. This is to hold enemies in place so you can shoot them easier. That is yeah, this is all this ability is used for. I'm going to be completely honest. You literally just hold them in place and I mean, the initial hit of damage of 55 isn't like negligible. It's a decent amount for early game, but it's not going to like do crazy damage late game. It literally just exists to keep an enemy in place and allow you to shoot them easier, because they can jump, right? Which, you know, whatever, they can jump. Oh no, I'm now going to have to hit the target slightly above or where they initially started. But this ability is, as I said, you just throw it and then start shooting people. Like, they get stuck, they can't really run away, they have slowered move speed, and because of its first upgrade, they have reduced fire rate by 40%. The cooldown on the second upgrade is reduced by 20 seconds. I'm laughing because I'm very proud of how good that transition was. And on the third upgrade, you increase the tether duration by 0.5 seconds and the capture radius by 1 meters, bringing the tether duration to 2.25 seconds, or 2.25 seconds, and the capture radius to 10 meters. But as I was saying, it is literally designed to just get thrown into a crowd, thrown at a single enemy, thrown at anyone and everyone that you can see, just so they get stuck in the radius and make it easier for you to shoot at them. And yeah, that's useful, right? I think you can, okay, I don't know how to put this, but I think people can get like suspended by it. So say there was like someone up here and they got hit by the tether and they jumped off, I think they would just be like dangling. You ever played Overwatch? You ever gone against a Malgua and you get caught in the cage when he's above you and you just kind of have to dangle there by the chain? Like, it's kind of in a similar way to that, if I remember rightly. But yeah, this ability is very simple. You literally just throw the stake and now they get stuck to wherever the area is and you just shoot them. And that's exactly what you should be doing with this ability. You literally just throw it so you can shoot them easier, whether it be with your normal gun or with your fourth ability. It's useful, it's very useful when it comes to combining with our fourth ability, but we'll get to that in a moment. Anyways, second ability is known as Flight. It has a 0.2 second cast time, or however long it takes to, what is it called? Channel time? I think that's the right word for it. A 13-second duration and a 42-second cooldown. You leap into the air and fly. While in flight, your weapon deals bonus spirit damage. This is what I was saying when I meant like, oh, you get benefit from using spirit items in a gun build. Because if you press 2, and I did kind of accidentally fat finger it there, or fat finger it earlier, you press 2, you'll kind of like bounce up, fly around, and now you're flying. You are flying, and you have basically full control. You can obviously press shift and control to go up and down. You can cancel the flight at any time by pressing 2 again. I would argue that Vindicta has some of the best mobility in the entire game, mostly just because of this one ability. She has freeform flight. I mean, okay, this is the thing, right, though? When flight is down, Vindicta can get caught easily. Very, very easily. She only has 2 stamina bars. She has a relatively low health pool. Like, she can get caught if flight is down. Hell, in flight, she can get caught. Her worst nightmare is Bebop, because Bebop can just grab you and pull you out of the air. There is an interaction between the two of them where she says, "I'm glad you're on my side so I don't get yanked out of the air." Like, it is such a common occurrence that the developers broke the fourth wall and acknowledged it for an interaction between the two of them. So, like, beware if there is a Bebop, because Bebop is, you don't really move very quickly when flying. Like, this is a relatively decent pace, but a good Bebop can easily, you know, like, look at the lag between me trying to, like, move in different directions. There is a bit where she kind of just stops, and in that stoppage, Bebop will just grab you, and then you get bombed and you die, because Bebop does a lot of damage, and as I said, Vindicta is very squishy. But when you are flying, as I said, or as I showed, you do extra spirit damage in every bullet. That is not a measly amount. I know 10 doesn't sound like a lot, but 10 racks up when you're also doing 400, as you just saw there. So, because of the extra spirit damage per bullet, I actually did 600, which is a huge amount. And as I said again, she benefits from spirit items even on a gun build because her fire rate scales with spirit. So, and of course, you get the extra spirit damage per bullet on flight, which also scales with spirit as well. So buying spirit items not only makes you do more extra damage in flight, but makes your fire rate quicker, which of course means more bullets, more extra spirit damage, shoot, shoot, bang, bang, explosions. No explosions, actually. She doesn't have any explosions. And of course, when you are flying, you can actually just use all of your abilities. Like, you can throw your stake, you can throw your third ability, or you can press your fourth, which obviously it's here to allow you to get the sort of high ground and be able to see enemies from a further distance away and just kind of safely fight in a way. Like, a lot of characters, in all honesty, will kind of struggle to get you up there. Like, obviously Bebop is the worst thing in the world when playing as Vindicta. I played a game as Vindicta yesterday. Bebop actually just took me out of the air, put 2 bombs on me, and I just died. I was at full health and I just died, all from a single grab. This character is the bane of Vindicta's existence. Look at him staring at you. You play Vindicta, he's coming for you. But there's not really many characters that can really affect her when she's flying. I mean, Victor can't do anything, like, at all. Abrams can't, like, any characters that require to be up close and personal literally can't do anything. Billy can't do anything. Okay, Billy is a weird one, though, because if the Billy has good enough movement, they can actually get up to you, and because Bash Down brings enemies down with him, he can really hurt you. But, like, the only characters who can really affect you when you're flying around are the ones that have, like, longer range abilities, like Paradox could be a pain in the ass because she has the kinetic carbine. Like, Sinclair can surprisingly be a real pain with his magic bolts or their magic bolts. I can't really think of anyone that, like most characters that just kind of do gun builds, I suppose, would be annoying. Like, Lash can't do a stomp on you. I know he can just yank you out the air, but he can yank everyone out the air. I guess McGinnis can be really annoying with the turrets and stuff, but yeah, most characters kind of, like, can't do much to Vindicta if she's flying around. Besides him. Yeah, him. I'm gonna really stress that this guy's the worst thing ever. Especially when playing as Vindicta. He's not the worst ever. I love Bebop. I love Bebop with all my heart. But, when playing as Vindicta, I don't love him with all my heart. But yeah, Flight is a very good ability because of the extra spirit damage per bullet, and interestingly, as I said, you do want to build spirit, even if you're doing a gun build like I do. And, of course, it does just allow you to get better view of everything. Like, in lane, you can just kind of, like, if we go to the actual lane here, if I just start flying, like, I just have a better view, and it makes it harder to hide from Vindicta, because she can just kind of fly over you. And as I said, her gun has very good range, so you're not like screwing yourself over by flying and, you know, doing like 2 damage because of damage fall off. But anyways, on its first upgrade, you increase your base ammo by 50% while flying. On its second upgrade, you increase the duration by 7 seconds, bringing it to 20. And on the third upgrade, you increase the spirit damage per bullet by 14, bringing it to 24. So now if I click fly, my ammo increases to 33 instead of being 22. And of course, the extra damage extra spirit damage per bullet can really rack up. Like, look, I'm doing more spirit damage than I am doing bullet damage right now. Like, that's how much damage? Was it 780 plus 680? Big ass number, you do the math. But yeah, this is a very good ability. It's basically where all of her damage will be coming from. Well, all of her damage until a certain point. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about that in a moment. Anyways, her third ability is known as Crow Familiar. It has a 28-second cooldown. Your Crow familiar deals impact damage, reduces their bullet resist, and applies a bleed that deals damage based on the target's current health. The damage it does initially is 37, the bleed damage is 2.7% per second, the debuff lasts for 4 seconds, which I believe is the bleed, bullet resist debuff, and it does also apply a spirit resist, which I feel like should be mentioned in the description. I had no idea it applied a spirit resist, because it literally just says, yeah, so the debuff duration and initial impact damage, by the way, does actually scale with spirit, so if you are building spirit, as you probably should on Vindicta, you are actually going to have this debuff last even longer. But the bullet resist shred is -6%, and it also has a spirit resist shred of -6% as well. I had no idea. Either way, you press 3, and you just lob a crow. You just throw a crow out. I don't even know where the crow comes from, but it just literally gets flung out of her wrist. And if that crow hits an enemy, they'll get damaged over time by the crow. And, well, as you saw, it is a percentage max health, so you can kind of screw over characters who are built more tanky. Someone like Victor, Mo and Krill, Abrams, characters that naturally will just be tankier, will kind of get hurt quite a bit by this ability. Also, not only because of the, max health bleed, but also because of the, resist shred. And just to show that resist shred, if I do a headshot here, well, actually, let's do a headshot in flight, right? 21 damage for bullet, 24 damage for spirit. I throw a crow, 22 damage for, 22 damage for, because it's only 6%. 6% isn't really crazy, I will admit, but then again, 6% is stacked on top of, like, other abilities, something like armor piercing rounds. Well, actually, I have to think about that. Isn't there a bullet ability that shreds gun resistance? Am I stupid? I swear one of them does. I am a little lost, actually. I swear one of them does. Either way, it's a resist shred that stacks on top of other resist shreds, or in some cases, resist ignores. So I don't know. It's just a good resist. It's a minor resist shred. I mean, why would you complain about that? It's free resist shred, and it does. The thing is with it is it's a skill shot, and you know what? I'm going to admit it. I suck at skill shots. I've never been good at them. League of Legends, I've never been good at skill shot characters. Admittedly, though, some of them are my favorites. I just suck at them. So I do usually miss the crow. So I need to bear that in mind. If you saw my gameplay anyways, you can see me missing crows. Probably. I don't remember how good I did in the B-roll footage. I captured that B-roll footage like weeks ago, I think. So who knows? Either way, it's a decent ability. The max health damage per second is nice. The debuff is also nice. It's kind of a neat utility item. And as I said, it helps to, chip away at those tankier targets that you might not be able to kill otherwise. But on its first upgrade, crows ricochet up to 2 times towards other enemies within 15 meters, which is very useful because now you're able to throw a crow at one person and get 3 people affected with the damage over time and the bullet resist and spirit resist shreds. That's very useful, right? On the second upgrade, you reduce the cooldown by 12 seconds, bringing it down to 16 seconds. And on the third upgrade, you reduce the bullet resist by 8% and the spirit resist by another 8%, bringing both of them to -14%, which, as I said, is quite useful. So for example, I do a headshot, 21 damage, throw a crow, 24 damage. Doesn't look like much, it's only 3 damage, but that obviously doesn't account for anything else that you get. And remember, that debuff was going to last for a long time if you build, spirit items as you should be. And yeah, it's a very solid ability. And of course, it chaining to multiple enemies can be very useful, as you can actually just throw it at a minion and then it will chain to a hero enemy, which, you hit a minion. Minions are a lot easier to hit than real people, obviously. So helpful for someone like me who can't aim for shit. And speaking of not being able to aim for shit, assassinate. This ability is very, very important. This is how Vindicta can, you've probably been in a game with a Vindicta once or twice, and she'll just somehow have like 10k more souls than you. This is usually why. It has 2 charges at base, and there is a 2.5 second delay between each charge. It has a 60-second cooldown for each individual charge. and you used your scoped rifle to fire a powerful shot over long distances. It deals only partial damage until fully charged after 1 second of being scoped. It does bonus damage to enemies with less than 50% health remaining, and landing a killing blow on a player with Assassinate grants you bonus souls. Yeah, this is a sniper shot. I know that was quite a long description, but this is just a sniper shot. You press 4 and enter a first-person perspective with, like, you know, a reticle and such. And as you saw there, when I aim down sights, the little green circle kind of fills up a little bit before being ready. And once it's ready, it's at full power. And speaking of its power, it does 90 damage at base if you just shoot immediately. And the max bonus damage is another 90, which makes it 180 once fully charged. Both of those damage amounts scale with Spirit, by the way. The bonus souls per assassination is 250. It takes 1 second to fully charge up. If you don't charge up at all, you do 50% less damage, so only 90. And you actually have a 20% bonus headshot damage multiplier, further incentivizing, you know, aiming. But as I just showed, you press 4 and you aim down sights, and you'll get like the little reticle to tell you when you're fully charged, and then you click and you shoot a sniper bullet. Simple as that, right? It's a very simple ability. But obviously, if you can aim well and hit your targets, and more importantly, kill enemies that are below half health. So just as an example, say Infernus here. If I just reduce him to 50% health, you'll notice that he gets this like pink aura on him. And when they have a pink aura, that is to tell you that they are below 50% health and will take the bonus damage. I've only now just realized that it's 90 damage raw, and the bonus half health damage is an extra 90. My bad. So that means the 50%, the no charge damage is 45. My bad. I got my calculations wrong. But either way, if I shoot this target here, it does 108. This Infernus is below 50% health, and if I shoot him in the head, it also... Okay, no, he actually wasn't. He regened above 50%. My bad. If I shoot him now, when he is actually 50% or below, you do double damage. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do double damage. I'd think about it for a minute. And as you can see here, if I... So let's just... You know, actually, as a point of reference, say I just killed... I should not have thrown that crow. I really hope the crow doesn't kill him. I really, really hope it doesn't. So say I just killed this Infernus normally, right, with my gun. I get 925 souls, as you just saw there. Now, if I shoot him in the head with a sniper rifle, I get the extra 250. Very good. Now, this is kind of Vindicta's bread and butter when it comes to, like, you know, actually securing her kills. As I said earlier, or have alluded to, you kind of chip away at an enemy, whether that be through the crows, the flight, and throwing the stake to limit their sort of movement. And then when they're below half health, you just whip out Assassinate and you shoot them. You make them die. You make them explode. You obliterate them. That is Vindicta's gameplay. You chip away at them with everything else in your toolkit, and once they're below, I would usually say like 30% health is like the sweet spot where you will get the kill every single time you shoot. Once they're below, like, or even if you just see like a target running around that's on low health, you just aim down sights and just shoot them. Bang. Why is she whistling for? I know she whistles a specific song. I saw that on the wiki. I don't remember what song it was. But yeah, that's kind of Vindicta's gameplay. You just kind of like fly around, shoot people, throw crows at people, chip away at them, and then once they're on low health, you just stick them down and then snipe. Simple as that. That is literally all of Vindicta's gameplay. And as I said, a lot of her kit benefits from the extra spirit, so by buying something like Boundless Spirit, then your sniper shot is going to deal even more damage. Or you could very well just build into full spirit to really make those sniper shots hit like a freight train. Unfortunately, as I said, I can't aim the sniper shots to save my life. So I usually prefer for a gun build because I'm a little bit more... What's the word? It's a bit more safe. It's a bit more comfortable for me to play because I just can't hit my sniper shots. I'm going to be completely honest. But either way, if you can, and you know, get a few killing blows on players, man, Vindicta can get such a head start. Like, especially in the early game, right, where you get like you get a decent chunk of souls for killing someone, but then if you kill them with Assassinate, you get an extra 250. 250 is nothing to scoff at. That's an entire minion wave, basically. No, it's like 3 minions, actually. Most of them give 80. So yeah, it's about 3 minions, but still, that's an extra 3 minions for shooting someone with the sniper shot to kill them. It's a useful, very useful ability. And of course, as I said, it can hit like a freight train later on. It could be a really, really nasty ability. But to further emphasize that point, on the first upgrade, you reduce its cooldown by 20 seconds. So it's now 40 seconds cooldown for each shot. On the second upgrade, you increase the max bonus damage by 190. That's the extra damage you get for shooting someone below half health. So now you'll be dealing 280. So yeah, 280 at full charge, which, you know, that's nothing to scoff at again. And now this is a key one. This is why you probably see Vindictas with like 10,000 more souls than you, because on its third upgrade, you get an extra 600 bonus souls per assassination, bringing the amount of extra souls you get to 850. 850 for a kill on top, by the way, 850 on top of like the 800 you already get per kill, right? So if Vindicta manages to assassinate someone, she can buy a tier 2 item, like immediately. She can just buy Quicksilver Reload, Swift Striker, like a late game, if she manages to snipe someone, she's getting like, what, like 3,000 souls for a single kill? Like, Vindicta can very easily, if she manages to get a few assassinates off, and if she, of course, gets the third upgrade for it, can really get ahead. She can really, really pull ahead. I would argue that in a good game, Vindicta has better snowball potential than some of the best characters in the entire game. Like, I always refer to someone like Drifter as the best snowballer, and that's obviously because of his, you know, his permanent damage increase on isolated hero kills. Haze is a very good snowballer. Wraith is just really, really good at farming, which then leads to a lot of money, which then leads to a lot of snowballing. But if Vindicta's able to take out like 3 people with her max level assassinate, she'll be ahead of everyone. She will have more souls than she knows what to do with. She can get like a tier 4 item by the 20-minute mark if she's good enough. Like, it's really scary stuff. Good Vindictas scare the life out of me. But then again, good Vindictas know how to aim. What do I not know how to do? Aim. Either way, I think Vindicta's gameplay is very fun, even despite my lack of ability at aiming. And yeah, a lot of her kit just kind of serves to make flight and assassinate stronger. I'm going to be honest, like, this obviously holds them in place so you can hit assassinate shots. This is obviously to chip away at them so you can eventually hit an assassinate shot. The flight extra spirit damage per bullet is just very efficient, but again, you're just shooting people, and then you want to assassinate them. But the thing is, I'm able to do everything up to that last part because I can't aim. And honestly, the sniper shot does feel a little bit weird. It is actually hit scan. Like, I know in many of my videos I've mentioned, like, you know, it isn't. It's kind of hit scan? I don't know. Like, just to show how bad my aim is. Kind of bad. I don't know. It's kind of weird how it aims. Like, the trail that it leaves kind of throws me off into thinking that is a projectile and that I need to kind of, like, aim ahead of an enemy. Like, but then again, I guess you don't. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I just kind of suck at aiming sometimes. But yeah, like, everything that Vindicta does is to lead into an assassinate, lead into a, basically, like, if you're below 25% health and there's a Vindicta on the enemy team, you got to be scared, man, because she can literally just appear out of thin air. Like, she would just be flying around, and then next thing you know, you're just bang. Okay, that was awful. You just saw that in real time, and I'm very sorry you just saw that. But you get the idea. Chip away at them, then snipe them. Get bonus souls, buy more items, just keep doing it over and over and over. But with all of her gameplay details and the such discussed, I'd like to now move on to talking about her design. Now, in a few videos, I have mentioned that a lot of characters got new models recently. In every time I've mentioned, like, when they've gotten these new models, I've been wrong. I said that these characters got new models when the 6 Heroes update came out, which was, you know, like these lot, Doorman, Drifter, Mina, Paige, etc. I was wrong. It was actually the middle of August. I had no idea. I checked the Deadlock wiki and it literally said August 18th, 2025, updated new model for Vindicta. Then I checked Wraith, who also got her model updated. It also said the same date, and same went for Pocket, Lash, McGinnis, etc. Not McGinnis, Lash, Pocket, who else? Lady Geist. I feel like I'm missing someone again. Why am I always missing someone? No, I'm not missing anyone. No. Surely, no. Either way. Vindicta did get her model update, and I like it. I think I like it. Maybe I like it. I think the only thing I'm a little bit off about is the lipstick. I think that's kind of it. I'm not really sure why she has lipstick. Just for reference, I'll throw up a look of her face from her old design. Her old design did have like purple lips, but they looked more like natural in a sense. Like it looked like, you know, like some dead bodies go blue when they've died and how the lips go like purple because of the lack of oxygen. It kind of looked like that. But now with Vindicta's newer model, it kind of looks like lipstick. It's kind of got like that glossy sheen to it. I mean, if she wants to wear lipstick whilst taking out the Friends of Humanity, you know what? All the power to her. Literally, I am all up here for looking good whilst taking people out. But I do think it is a little bit odd to change from that sort of like death or ghostly look for the lips to then making it look like lipstick. I don't know. It's kind of an odd choice, but either way, speaking of her actual design as it is now, I do like it a lot. She wears clothing that looks like it is from the time period, and due to it being like, you know, actually, before I talk about her design properly, let's get the jokes out of the way. Let's get the joke out of the way. Yes, she doesn't wear shoes. Yes, we get it. You're a freak. I get it. I understand. Sure. You know, it's not even that crazy to say that someone's into feet, man. That's like one of the most common ones out there. The amount of times I've heard someone say that is insane. But yeah, let's get the feet jokes out of the way. I've heard them a million times. I will admit a lot of characters even make them. I mean, admittedly, it is a little bit weird for someone to be running around barefoot in New York City. So I think Abrams is the one that says that. Like, I think Abrams has an interaction where he's like, "Do you want me to buy you a pair of shoes?" And it's like, you know, that's a reasonable thing to say, honestly. But either way, her outfit is, I want to presume, inspired by the time that she died. Otherwise, I'm not. I don't know. How do I put it? I think her outfit's neat. It just kind of has this old look to it, even considering, you know, Deadlock takes place like 80 years ago compared to today. No, 80? No, 70 years ago. But like, I like it. It's a nice dress. It's got a nice, she has a very nice contrast of colors. Obviously she's blue. She has that sort of ghostly blue hue to her. And as you can see, there's like this weird effect around her, like a sort of weird shimmy, like silhouette to her. You can kind of see it as well on like my model when I'm aimed down sights, like this weird ghostly effect, which is really cool. I really like that ghostly effect. You can kind of see it, like it's like outline of her hair, but like in a invisible pattern. But yeah, the blue is obviously a very synonymous color with ghosts, and well, by all accounts, Vindicta is a vengeful spirit, so it makes sense for her to have this coloring. Her hair is quite long and disheveled, though she has this sort of very big, almost like childish bow in it, like the way, like it's like a worn out pink or purple. It's a very big childish bow, which obviously relates to the fact that, you know, she probably died when she was a kid during the Salem witch trials. But her actual outfit, as in like this sort of old-timey dress, is quite a nice contrast to her blue skin because of its obviously red colors and almost like sort of very dark purples almost, kinda. That's like a dark purple, or is it like maroon and surprisingly fancy looking, all things considered. Like you can see it's kind of got like, it's not called an engraving, that's the term for metal. What would you call this? Like I'm just gonna call it a pattern. It's got like quite a fancy pattern in, or she has quite a fancy pattern on her dress, which is quite interesting. I believe what is the bell for? Is that for the crows? Probably. The stakes are obviously for the stakes. Her gun is, you know, this sort of very long sniper with a comically long scope, mind you. Though I believe it's quite befitting for the time. I'm not completely educated on guns and time periods and such. I do remember seeing like, I know there's like World War II sniper rifles that have these really, really long scopes. Kind of looks like, what was it called in World at War? Like COD World at War? Is it the Springfield? Kind of looks a bit like that. Awful gun, by the way. Hated using that in COD Zombies. But either way, speaking else of her besides her outfit and blah blah blah, like facially, Vindicta is a interesting like design. Like I really love her sort of glowing eyes. They're like almost completely hollow. Like there's no pupil in them, or pupil, iris. No, iris is the colored area around your eye. Pupil is the little black dot. There's no pupil. And it's just these like blue irises that are very just imposing. Like, can you imagine being in a dark alleyway and you just see those glowing blue irises staring back at you? Like you're, I don't know, a friend of humanity. It's just like, look at me, I'm awesome. I love being a bigot. And then they walk down an alleyway and they just see these glowing pair of eyes just gleaming at them. But then again, that same sort of credit can be given to my beloved doorman because, well, his eyes are similarly glowing in that same sort of shade of blue. Okay, his are a bit more potent. Vindicta's are a bit more washed out. She also has this triangle on her forehead. I'm not sure what the triangle means. And she also has like the tear streak makeup look on her face, which is very befitting considering, you know, her history and what she had to go through. I really like Vindicta's design. I just kind of get annoyed every time someone talks about Vindicta. They just dumb down her design to, haha, look, she's barefooted, guys. You get it? Haha. Like, come on. It's just a bit boring, really. It just is a little bit boring. We just... sometimes these characters get associated with jokes that just keep going on and on and on, and it's so boring. Sometimes, if the joke's funny enough, it can last long enough, but like, I'm so sure for any of my League of Legends players in the audience, the jokes around Jax, I find them obscenely boring, because they've been going on for years and they're not funny. Jax has evolved past that point. He's a very interesting character, a very cool character, and I hate that every time I say, man, I like Jax, I think he's super awesome, someone just looks at me and says, ha, you're a nonce. Like, oh, boring. Same goes for Vindicta. Oh, I really liked the Vindicta. And then someone just goes up to me and says, ha, I bet you're into feet. What if I say yeah? What if I say yeah? What if I say yeah to your face? What are you gonna do then, huh? Either way. I like Vindicta's design a lot. I think it's very neat. I like the contrasting colors of the red to the blue of her skin. I don't know. I just like Vindicta's design. It just looks neat, and I'm glad that she got her model upgrade to look a little bit more ghostly, because her previous design, it did just look like a woman with blue skin. She didn't really look much like a ghost, and now she has this like ghostly hue to her around her head and the such. It looks, and it's around her hands as well. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, I just like Vindicta's design a lot. I think it looks very neat. And with all of that said, this is now the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed your time listening to me ramble on and on. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And the next episode in this series, it's going to be on a certain someone. It's going to be about someone that I've been waiting to talk about for a really, really long time, because I think he's really, really funny, and I get very giddy when I just think of him. That being my beloved goo man, Viscous.